Hey, I had an interesting question this morning about why am I not getting on the local pack? Well, look, this is great because I love to answer questions. So I'm going to share with you why a site like yours may or may not be getting on the local pack. But first, I'm going to explain what a local pack is. So here you can see I've done a search for laser eye surgery. I've done a search for LASIK. I've done a search for laser eye surgery London, laser eye surgery cost, and laser eye surgery London. Now, these are all some pretty important keyword phrases. So I'm going to show you the first one here, what shows up for a local pack for each, if applicable. So here you go. In a typical search engine result page, a SERP, which is what you're looking at here, you'll see usually what starts off with 3 ads. Okay, so those ads are at the very top, and they are subject to the various algorithms around bidding strategies, cost per click, how successful your website is in order to receive leads, what kind of score it manages to achieve on various different measures, how optimized it is, and so on. Okay, so those are ads, right? So here now what you've got here is what's called a local pack, and that local pack is a series of businesses that are offered up by Google in the search results in position 0. It's what we call position 0. Now, this is obviously ads. This is also what you would imagine at position 0. And then here is position 0, because this is also position 0. People also ask. And then here is the very first listing on the Google search engine result page for laser eye surgery, which is laser eye surgery and lens surgery on the NHS. Talk about ironic when they don't even offer it, but that's Google for you. So Optical Express then shows up after that, Optical Express again after that, and London Vision Clinic shows up after that, and then Optimax, and so on and so forth. So you got the big players here, all chains, and also London Vision Clinic, which has been around a long time and has, to a large extent been the most oriented towards laser eye surgery of any other clinic. So historically, over the last 18 years, they have focused almost entirely on laser eye surgery. Their whole website's about laser eye surgery. So yeah, it makes sense as to why they would show up on this page. Now, getting back to the main issue at hand, the same reasons people show up on local packs are the same reasons people show up in search. Now, Google decides, okay, your particular result is going to be featured as a snippet in the local pack because your site scores well on various optimizations. So what is it? Okay, well, first of all, it's a very desirable area. So your site needs to have a lot of good optimization in it anyway for laser eye surgery as a keyword phrase. You'll see here under LASIK, you're going to see very similar results. You see OCL, Optical Express, London Vision Clinic, and Focus. Okay, so here you see OCL, Optical Express, Optimax, and London Vision Clinic. So a little bit different, right? And you can see the difference here. The reason is because there's different optimizations and different results for different pages. So that's one for different searches. So that's one reason. Laser eye surgery London. Now here, what you see here is again slightly different result: ophthalmic, London, optical, focus. Right here you have ophthalmic, optical, London, focus. Here you have ophthalmic, optical, optical, London. So slightly different results for every single search query. That's important to note. The other thing too is you're not going to get a local pack on every search query. So as you can see here, laser eye surgery cost doesn't show up with a local pack. So you're not going to get a local pack listing for that keyword because it's not really related to a location, right? Now, neither was LASIK, by the way, yet it showed up in the local pack. So that's interesting because it's something that people are offering. People are offering laser eye surgery cost as well, but it's a little bit different. It's less considered something that you would maybe think about buying. But you're thinking about buying LASIK, but perhaps not laser eye surgery cost. Here, laser eye surgery cost London, even though I've indicated I want to know things about what's going on in London, you don't see a local pack. Okay, so it's not just because you have information around a location. Okay, so various things go into this, and it's all related to how your site is showing up on certain keyword phrases and what Google decides is important to provide relevance to their audience who are looking for these things. So we'll go back to laser eye surgery now and examine this a little bit further. So what does it take to get on this local pack? Well, similar to the search engine result page, you can see here at the very top you got ads. Well, similarly, you also see you have an ad here. So Ophthalmic Consultants of London has an ad, okay? And this ad shows up in the local results. So what is that? Well, that's called a site extension. And a site extension is something that you might add to your Google campaign, your Google Ads campaign. And in that Google Ads campaign, you're able to make various extensions out of what you're doing. Why wouldn't you start off doing that? Well, because you're trying to optimize the campaign. If you have a low budget, then you can only do so much, and you can't spread yourself too thin. So it's important to optimize around what is going to generate results for you. And maybe the site extensions will pull in too much out of your budget. They're too expensive, or it's just too it just doesn't make sense for your particular budget and your particular keyword phrases, or maybe your site just isn't optimized sufficiently to that particular keyword phrase. So there's more to it, though. The better your site is optimized to a keyword phrase, even for paid, the more likely you are going to be able to afford to spend money on high positions, like position zero. So these guys, OCL, are able to be on the local pack with an ad. And why are these other guys not paying for this? Well, the fact is they did pay for it. How did they pay for it? Well, they pay for it for a number of different reasons, in a number of different ways. Number one, they have great locations. So these locations are particularly highly attractive locations, and Google, there is evidence to suggest that Google favors locations that are easy to get to, and not just based on where we live. So first of all, I'm in SE1, and I just typed in laser eye surgery. Now, Google knows exactly where I live. Obviously, they know where everyone lives, unless you're surfing incognito. But I've done incognito search engine result placements here as well, and I can't find very much difference. There are sometimes a little bit of a difference. So I could show you that, and maybe I will actually. So here, let's try that out. So let's do an incognito search, and let's try laser eye surgery. So in this particular instance, now Google does not know where I am. Let's see what shows up. See, it's asking me to know my location, and it doesn't know. I'm not going to tell it. No, Google, you can't find out. There you go. There's no ad. So you see there that the ad has to be placed around the location. And now what's showing up is Optical Express, London Vision Clinic, and Optimax. You notice I mentioned a focus. So again, Google is very, very fickle in terms of how it approaches these things. And it's not going to show every single case. So you're obviously just seeing these three, no ophthalmic consultants. Now, here's another few issues. Ideal location plays a part. The other thing that plays a part is obviously all of these locations had to actually add a location in Google My Business. Now, Optimax has done the approach where they have added their Bishopsgate location to this, and they have other locations. Optical Express has added their Eastcheap locations. They have other locations as well. These guys have one location, and these guys have one location. So it matters which location you add in, which was most relevant to the search. Obviously, if I'm in SE1, which is in this area of the map, then these locations are going to be relevant to me. They're going to show up in the map. For example, Optimax, which is in Finchley Road, does not show up on the map, right? So that makes sense. Okay, so why is it then that London Vision Clinic and Optimax and Optical Express show up on the map? Why do others not show up on the map? Well, as I already explained, Moorfields might not show on the map because they're not laser eye surgery focused, and therefore, well, in the competition for laser eye surgery, they're not going to do as well on the map. Number two, all of these guys have been around a long time. I mean, we're going up past 20 years now. London Vision Clinic's been around for 18 years. Optical Express and Optimax have been around over 20 years. So these guys have been around a long time, and not only is it important to register your company on Google My Business, but it also matters when you registered your company on Google My Business, and also how long your site's been around. So again, all of these factors relate to SEO, and also to how Google evaluates the value of your website. And so it doesn't really care about who you are as a provider, but it evaluates the value of your website. And longevity plays a big part, because one of the things that Google trades is trust. So they want to offer up trustworthy results. And if your listing is around for a long time, then that's considered trustworthy. It is basically a proxy for being around a long period of time, is just trust. Okay, so other things you got to do. Well, you got to optimize your Google My Business profile. So let's just go into these guys and see how they've optimized their profile. Now, this is something that you can do. I'm just going to go in on this. And I'm going to click on London Vision Clinic here. Okay, here we go. So there you can see a profile. So what do they got? Well, they got their address, and their address is exactly the same wherever they've listed. That's important. They've got a good chunk of reviews. That's another thing, by the way. Reviews play a part. You can see here that, yeah, sure, Optimax has 4 reviews, but it's very clear that Optimax has a lot of reviews on its other related properties. And these properties can be associated together so that it accumulates the total vast number of reviews. In this particular case, as it pertains to most people, you have one location. So in this particular case, you can see 117 reviews is good. That's a good amount, considering that the next best is 143 at this location for Optical Express, 6 at Optical Liverpool Street. Ramesh has 6 here. Optical Express at this location has 310. Didn't show me that, though, because it's a different location. Focus has 249, which is better. Interesting. So in this particular case, Focus might be asking, how come I'm not showing up as much as London Vision Clinic does? Well, longevity might be a reason for that. And also, London Vision Clinic has had a laser eye surgery focused website for a longer period of time. So that all matters, and that's unfortunately something you can't really win at. You know, you can't have started your business earlier than someone else. It's just not a way to fix that. So yeah, so you can see there that a lot of the people who show up here have a reasonable number of reviews. You can't just expect to have, you know, I mean, again, unless you're part of a chain, 4 or 5 reviews and show up effectively for a map. Okay, so let's go back to this profile. So you have hours, that's important. So indicating your hours is really important there. They've got a link to their products and services. I would probably add products or services into that, make it a little bit more optimized. Questions and answers, people have asked questions, they've answered them, that's good. And they've answered a lot of questions, okay? So that's also important. And in this particular case as well, they've added a lot of images, and adding images that are relevant to the site. Again, anything that helps Google. Think, how can I help Google? I know that sounds weird, but what is Google trying to do? Google is trying to show results that are very, very relevant. And so the more relevance you can show, for example, if you start showing images of the clinic's website, well, that's all going to help you, because it's helping Google show what's behind door number 138, you know, and it helps people understand, okay, now I understand what this is about. And Google looks at that and says, okay, this particular competitor, this site is really, really doing a good job of showing what you can expect. And that's what Google wants to do, because it wants to provide as many good, relevant answers to people's queries. And when you do this, when you add a lot of images to the Google search listing, the Google My Business profile, that all helps to serve your primary objective, which is to be a better friend of Google so that Google can do its job better. Yeah, sorry, but hey, we all work for Google. All right, so here we go. Going back to the original result, what else can you do? Okay, well, as I said, you have to optimize your listing. You also got to make sure that you got as many images up there, and you got to fill out every single field in there if you can, with whatever you have. So when somebody asks you, hey, give me all this information about your business, you got to be forthcoming with that. You got to make sure that those hours are listed, your products are listed, all those things. All that takes time, so it's charged accordingly. But all of these things are valuable to you. And reviews are massively important, as suggested. You can optimize your website for local search as well. I mean, certainly the more relevance that your website has, I'm just going to click over to the website here. Now, it's pretty hard to beat having London in the name. That's useful. And sure, they don't have laser eye surgery, but I mean, the site is full of laser eye surgery references. So that's super, super important. Laser eye surgery, laser eye surgery, laser eye surgery, right? So that's what you really want to make sure that you optimize your site, not just for the location, but associated as much as possible with the locality of the search. You want to be obviously located in the vicinity, and you want to have a certain amount of prominence. So if your website is well reviewed, that's going to show up well for you as well. The other thing too is, importantly, and it's certainly not least of all, your website needs to perfectly perform on mobile. Again, local search listings are all about helping people who are moving around. And the better your site performs on mobile, the more likelihood you're going to have of showing up on these local search listings in these position zeros. So just in summary, You want to use the right features. You want to make sure that you fill out every single detail in the profile. Just make sure that it's really, really well filled out. Hours, addresses, lots of pictures. Get as many reviews up there as possible. Tell people to review it, and all of that will help. Putting up products, all of that is helpful too. You want to make sure that there's good mobile compatibility for your website, that it loads fast on mobiles. The listing should provide accurate information about your website. Your website should be as user-friendly as possible, as fast as possible, mobile-friendly as possible, as I said before. Provide as many images as you can. Encourage customers to leave reviews. And, of course, offer your services and products that are good and sufficiently in high volume that you get those good reviews. So all of that is what's important when trying to get on this listing. And again, if you need to short circuit the process, certainly putting ads in here works. But of course, you got to be spending the money. You can't be expecting to get these kind of placements with 3-digit numbers. The amount of money that people spend in the London market, as an example, is easily in the mid to high 4 figures to begin with, if you want to be competitive. And if you want to be, at the top of the chart, you're going to have to be spending more than that. Why do people spend that much money? Because the return on investment is significant. And, people don't do things unless they get return from it. So, yeah, we know that ads work. We know that doing a very appropriately optimized ad campaign does offer the success that you're looking for. So, yeah, if you have questions about getting your ads moving forward, ask us about that. We can advise you on the budget based on the number of leads that you want to acquire. That's how it all works. Basically, think about it this way. You're going to the store and you want to buy a whole bunch of leads. Well, if you bring a few $100, you're only going to have the ability to buy so many leads. If you bring $20,000, you can buy a heck of a lot more leads. There's diminishing returns eventually, of course, and that's why you got to do more than paid search. You got to do, SEO ongoing. You got to do other types of things. You got to offer lead magnets. You got to offer tripwires. You got to have a good offer. You got to, have a lot of availability. You got to do all these things. Okay. So anyway, all of this is important. And I hope that this has been helpful to provide you with a sense of how do you get on this local pack, which is pretty important for your long-term success as a business. And it does take a long time unless you short circuit it with ads, which takes a lot more money. And there you have it. Hope that's been helpful. Bye.